The aftermath of humiliation meets the reality of Champions League domination. Almaty, Kazakhstan. Just 3 days after suffering a humiliating 5-2 derby defeat to Atlético Madrid, Real Madrid delivered an emphatic statement of intent with a clinical 5-0 dismantling of Kairat Almaty in Champions League action on September 30th, 2025. Kylian Mbappé grabbed the headlines with a devastating hat-trick that saw him become only the 7th player in Champions League history to reach 60 goals in the competition. But this was about so much more than individual brilliance. This was a wounded giant reasserting its European dominance. The narrative, from derby disaster to European demolition. Let's be brutally honest. Madrid's 5-2 thrashing at the hands of their city rivals on Sunday had raised serious questions about Xabi Alonso's tactical approach and his team's mental fortitude. The knives were out. Social media was ablaze with criticism. But in the unforgiving crucible of Kazakhstan, against a Kairat side dreaming of a giant-killing performance on home soil, Los Blancos answered every single question with authority. This wasn't just about bouncing back. It was about sending a message to the rest of Europe that the 15-time Champions League winners remain the benchmark. The 5-0 scoreline, the 67.3% possession dominance, and the surgical precision of Madrid's attacking play all pointed to one undeniable truth. You can hurt Real Madrid domestically, but in Europe? That's a different beast entirely. The tactical breakdown, how Madrid carved Kairat apart. Real Madrid deployed a 4-2-3-1 formation with a double pivot designed to provide defensive balance while unleashing devastating vertical attacks through Mbappé. The French superstar was positioned as the focal point, exploiting half spaces with perfectly timed runs that repeatedly shredded Kairat's defensive structure. Here's where it gets fascinating. Madrid's attacking pattern revolved around creating 2v1 and 3v2 overloads down the flanks, stretching Kairat's compact block and opening central lanes for Mbappé's intelligent movement. When Thibaut Courtois distributed short to the center-backs and pivots, Kairat's press was drawn out like clockwork. Then came the switch, quick, incisive passes to the wide areas where Madrid's fullbacks and inside forwards had acres of space to exploit. The numbers tell the story. Possession, 67.3% versus 32.7%. Shots, 12 on target versus 4 on target. Saves, Kairat's goalkeeper made 7 saves to Courtois' 4. Kairat entered with a 4-4-2 compact mid-block, hoping to stay solid centrally and hit Madrid on the counter. In theory, brilliant. In practice, an absolute disaster. The fundamental flaw was painfully obvious. Kairat lacked the recovery speed to deal with Madrid's transitional verticality. Once Madrid switched play, the compactness became exposed length, creating exploitable gaps that Mbappé feasted upon. Their inability to win second ball recoveries meant every turnover became a potential death sentence. Controversial tactical call. Why did Kairat's coaching staff persist with such a high defensive line against arguably the fastest forward in world football? It was tactical naivete bordering on negligence. You don't give Mbappé space to run in behind, ever. Yet that's exactly what happened repeatedly. The key moments. When the match was won and lost, Mbappé opened the scoring from the penalty spot in the 25th minute, clinical and composed under pressure. But here's the talking point. Was it soft? The contact was minimal, and in a domestic league, that probably doesn't get called. But this is Champions League football, where attacking stars get that extra layer of protection. Kairat players were visibly frustrated, and you could see their shoulders drop. Debate starter. Are European referees too lenient with superstar attackers? Mbappe's second goal early in the second half came from a devastating counterattack. A short 2-3 pass sequence ending in a vertical ball into the Frenchman, who made no mistake. This was the goal that exposed Kairat's fundamental weakness. They couldn't transition defensively. Watch the replay. 3 Kairat players are caught upfield with 0 recovery pace. That's Sunday League level positioning at Champions League level. Mbappé completed his hat-trick in the 73rd minute with a sublime finish following brilliant team play from Rodrigo and an assist from Arda Güler. This wasn't just about individual brilliance. It was about a team operating at peak efficiency. And get this, Mbappé had the audacity to say post-match he could have scored more. That's the mentality of a player who won't settle for anything less than perfection. Eduardo Camavinga and Brahim Diaz added late goals to complete the rout, but by then, Kairat were a broken team. The defensive structure had completely collapsed, and Madrid were playing exhibition football. Player performances, heroes and zeros. Kylian Mbappé, 10 out of 10, the unstoppable force. Let's cut through the noise. Mbappé's hat-trick made him the 7th player in Champions League history to reach 60 goals. He's in rarefied air alongside Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Robert Lewandowski, Karim Benzema, Raul, and Ruud van Nistelrooy. His movement, timing, and 3 different finishing profiles created a relentless threat. This was a player on a mission to silence his critics. Stat attack: 3 goals, 6 shots on target, 4 key passes, 82% pass accuracy. The double pivot recycled possession brilliantly, read counter triggers with precision, and supplied progressive passes that broke Kairat's compact shape. Camavinga's goal was the cherry on top, a midfielder bombing forward with the confidence of a striker. He finished with 1 goal, 1 shot on target, 2 key passes, and an 88% pass accuracy. 7 saves. 7 saves, yet 5 goals conceded. This is the story of a goalkeeper who was active but overwhelmed by shot quality. Activity doesn't replace structural prevention. That's the harsh reality. He was hung out to dry by his defense, left to face wave after wave of elite attacking play with virtually no protection. Here's a spicy subplot. Federico Valverde had to deny reports that he refused to play in an unfamiliar right-back role during the match. Was there genuine tension in the Madrid camp, or is this just media fabrication? Either way, it's the kind of dressing room drama that could become a genuine problem if not addressed. Historical context: Madrid's European pedigree versus Kazakhstan's brave new world. This was a classic David versus Goliath encounter. Kairat Almaty, the proud representatives of Kazakhstan, facing Real Madrid, the most successful club in European history. But here's the uncomfortable truth: this wasn't competitive. Not even close. Madrid's 15 Champions League titles represent an almost supernatural dominance of European football. Kairat, by contrast, are relative newcomers to this stage, now sitting at 0 wins, 0 draws, 2 losses, with a -8 goal differential after 2 matches. They're learning harsh lessons in real time. The bigger picture: Madrid improved to 2-0 with a +6 goal differential, positioning themselves perfectly to cruise through the league phase. Their next test? Juventus at home on October 22nd, a far more significant barometer of their European credentials. For Kairat, they face Pafos 4 days earlier in what's now a must-win match. Lose that, and their Champions League dream becomes a nightmare. Tactical talking points: what coaches should study. For Madrid, the template for dominance: the double pivot shield provides defensive cover while allowing fullbacks to bomb forward. Textbook modern football. Vertical outlet exploitation: when you have Mbappé, use him. Repeatedly, relentlessly, ruthlessly. Selective pressing: don't waste energy pressing everywhere. Trigger press when the opponent receives with back to goal. For Kairat, hard lessons in European football. Recovery speed is non-negotiable. Kairat's inability to recover in transition left them vulnerable to counterattacks that produced the second and third goals. Compactness without mobility equals death. Being compact means nothing if you can't shift laterally when play switches. Don't give elite attackers space. High defensive lines against Mbappé? That's tactical malpractice. The controversial calls: what'll have fans arguing? Was the penalty too soft? Minimal contact, maximum impact. In domestic football, that's probably not given. But in Champions League, superstars get superstar calls. Fair or foul? Did Kairat's tactics set them up to fail? Playing a high line against one of the fastest players in world football borders on negligence. Was this tactical ambition or tactical suicide? Is Mbappé already the best player in the world? 60 Champions League goals and counting. He's 26 years old. At this rate, he'll shatter every record in the book. Are we watching the next Messi-Ronaldo-level phenomenon? The Valverde situation. Did he really refuse to play right back, or is this media stirring? If true, that's a massive red flag for team unity. What this result means for both seasons. For Real Madrid, confidence restored. Bouncing back from a derby demolition with a Champions League statement. Mbappé's momentum. 5 goals in 2 Champions League matches this season. He's in frightening form. European credibility reinforced. They're serious contenders for a 16th title. Domestic questions remain. Can they replicate this dominance in La Liga? For Kairat Almaty, reality check administered. The gap between domestic dominance and European elite is vast. Must-win pressure. The Pafos match becomes season-defining. Tactical evolution required. Need to fundamentally rethink their approach. Experience gained. Sometimes you learn more in defeat than victory. Harsh but necessary lessons. Final verdict. Statement made. Questions answered. Mostly. The reaction to Madrid's victory was overwhelmingly positive, with fans celebrating Mbappé's return to form and the promising displays of young talent. Social media platforms exploded with highlights, particularly Mbappé's goals, and the narrative shifted from crisis to confidence. But let's not get carried away. Yes, Madrid were imperious. Yes, Mbappé was unstoppable. Yes, the tactics were executed to perfection. But this was against a Kairat side that was tactically outmatched from kickoff. The real tests await. Juventus, Manchester City, Barcelona in El Clasico. The bottom line, Real Madrid reminded everyone why they're the kings of Europe. Kairat learned that competing at this level requires more than hope and home support. And Mbappé, he's writing his name in the history books, one hat-trick at a time. What's your take? Was this the perfect response to the derby disaster, or just inevitable dominance against weaker opposition? And that penalty, soft or stonewall? Let's hear it in the comments below. Next up, Real Madrid versus Juventus, October 22nd. The real test begins. Kairat Almaty versus Pafos, October 18th. Survivor Sync. The beautiful game never stops, and neither do the debates it creates. Until next time, keep arguing, keep analyzing, and keep loving football.